Hey, it's David Esrati. It's 4 o'clock, and it is now basically day two of being your candidate to take on Mike Turner for Ohio 10 in Congress. Now, who is this guy, David Esrati, and why would you want him instead of Mike Turner? Because I am definitely not Mike Turner. Mike Turner is the kind of guy who gets elected and forgets who he works for. I know that because when I went and made a fool of him with a giant time card at a city commission meeting way back in 1995, he had to cut me off at 3 minutes. Now, that time card was talking about how our city trash collectors were getting paid for 56 hours or so for 30 hours worth of work. Apparently, it ticked a lot of people off and they all complained, so they had a secret illegal meeting on Monday when we don't have a scheduled city commission meeting and decided there were 28 options they could use to shut me up. A reporter happened to be at that meeting, faxed me the list. I didn't know the meeting had taken place, and I was kind of concerned because the city charter says one meeting per week. And my response was, it's obvious they don't want to see the faces of the people that they represent. So the very next meeting, I walked in on a Wednesday morning with that giant time card, and once the meeting began, I donned a black balaclava. That's a mask, folks. That's what we've been wearing for the last couple of years. Everybody should know one, but it's, the kind that the cops wear. Anyways, I told the chief of police that I was going to wear that mask, and he said, you do whatever you want. Well, Mike Turner didn't like that, especially since I was in line with the camera of the person speaking at the podium. And he first started laughing, and then he called the city manager over and said, you got to get rid of him. And so the chief sent a major over to talk to me. They knew exactly who I was. They asked me to go outside, told me if I went back in it'd be a problem. I said, what kind of problem? Well, we'll have to arrest you. And they couldn't tell me what charges. So I went back in, I sat down, I started my silent protest. This time the chief, the major, and two police officers came and asked me to step outside. And this time we had a little discussion that went sort of like this. There is no law against what kind of headgear you wear at a city commission meeting. This is symbolic speech. It's protected by the First Amendment. And you have no laws about headgear because if you did, Commissioner Bootsy Neal, rest her soul, would have to be arrested, and later Ryan McLean for some very goofy hats that they used to wear. That wasn't enough, and I said, oh, if I was a Muslim woman wearing a hijab, you wouldn't be saying a damn thing. So it's legal. And they said, if you step back inside that chamber, you're going to get arrested, even though it was a public meeting in a public place, and I was entitled to be there. So I took a giant step backwards, and the handcuffs went on. I went to jail, and I fought Mike Turner for 2.5 years, and I beat him every step of the way. There's a big check sitting in my office that mostly went to the lawyers. Mike Turner is no better than Vladimir Putin when it comes to making sure his critics or anybody else that he doesn't like gets any exposure. And he's a very vindictive man. First thing I heard when I talked to one of the previous candidates that ran against him was that he routinely called the Dayton Daily News and read them the riot act, basically, if they mentioned any of his opponents. And I'm calling to tell you, might be a story in the Dayton Daily News pretty soon that Mike Turner won't like. And I say, tough. It's a free country. We have a First Amendment. And there is still a tiny little bit of journalism out there that wants to tell a story. And that's what I've been doing for a long time, working at telling stories and making sure that your rights as a citizen are protected. That's not that easy. And it's expensive sometimes, and it takes a lot out of you. But there are reasons we have sunshine laws and requirements for public meetings and transparency. And when those things are broken, I will fight it. And I guarantee once Turner realizes what I'm doing and how I'm attacking him and how I am pointing out that Mike Turner is not the saving father of the Air Force Base, and it will still exist after he gets unelected from his seat for life as a career politician. I am sure he's going to come out with some attack ads. So I'm going to tell you right now, Mike and all your friends, don't worry. You don't have to go through my video and find the stuff that can be cut up and made nasty, because I'm going to do it for you. And I'm going to explain full well what I was doing and why I was doing it, because this culture of corruption wasn't limited to the 4 black people that the FBI arrested and hung out to dry, and it wasn't all Steve Roush. Trust me, Mike Turner, Nan Whaley, and a whole bunch of other people have been being corrupt for an awfully long time, including that lobbyist organization that we support with our tax dollars called the Dayton Development Coalition. You know, there are things in this community that we just sort of seem to accept, and most of it is hogwash foisted on us by people like Mike Turner, who like to take credit for everything, yet do very little. So, first thing to realize, I am not Mike Turner. I will hold lots of town halls. You can ask a question during these live streams and we'll try to get to you and respond to them in real time. I will do everything I can to hear and interact and work with the citizens of Ohio 10 and to get your message across to Congress, because that's my job. It's to communicate what you want, what you need to Congress, and try to get the government you deserve and that you want and that you elected, not because somebody had more money than the other guy. Speaking of money, never hurts. Anything you can afford, go to electesrally.com/donate. Make a donation. Remember, you can donate as little as $3 to me, but Mike Turner, the minimum donation is $500. Mike Turner's friends have a lot more money than yours or mine. So, get over there to the site, make a donation. If you got questions, say something, speak up. There's lots of ways to communicate with me. And I look forward to winning this election and being your next congressman on November 8th, 2022, to make sure that you get somebody in the House of Representatives that actually cares about representing you. Thank you. We'll see you again tomorrow at 4.